Winter is here, and it's the perfect time to grab a nice hot cup of tea or coffee and curl up with a book that not only gives you warmth and comfort, but that also is able to maybe cater to your diverse interests. Today, I've got a mix of novels that are perfect for your winter reading list, each unique in their own way. My name is Genie. I consider myself a multi-passionate, multi-potentialite, scanner, whatever you want to call it. Let's just say I've got too many interests, too many passions, too many hobbies. It's really hard for me to stick to one for a long period of time. One of my longest standing hobbies is reading, and I have been reading books since I could read. And over time, I've compiled a winter reading list to satisfy those looking for a unique list of books that they can never get bored of. All of these books are novels. I was hoping that they would have a strong amount of variance, but then I think my own personal taste really came out in this list. But I just want to be honest, these are the books that I chose that I love rereading in the wintertime. The books that I've chosen are based on, of course, like the wintry element, crisp, cold air, snow-covered landscapes, that kind of thing. But they also managed to dig deeper into the notion of isolation, the warmth of meaningful human connections during this cold time, and the importance of self-reflection. Winter is the time that I am the most self-reflective, so I love any kind of book that focuses on this kind of theme. So let's get started. These are 10 books that I recommend for winter time. So I live in Korea, so of course I have to recommend this book. I'm holding it upside down. This is Winter in Sokcho. It's a story about a young French-Korean woman working in a guest house, and she meets Karen, a French graphic novelist who has come to Sokcho in search of inspiration. I feel like the novel does really well to describe the wintry landscapes of Sokcho and contrasting the cold outdoors with the warmth inside the guest house. The narrative is filled with descriptions of the food, culture, the environment of this unique town, all seen through the eyes of this young woman. I really liked her interactions with Karen. They're a blend of curiosity, misunderstanding, and the subtle exploration of identity and the search for meaning in an isolated space. I feel like Winter in Sokcho would do well to attract multi-potentialites, multi-passionates because of its exploration of cross-cultural themes, identity, and the sense of being caught between two worlds. The novel's contemplative mood and the description of Korea's winter landscapes make it a great read for the winter season. It does well to invite its readers into a world where every detail is observed with quiet intensity, making it ideal for those who appreciate slow, thoughtful narratives that try to dig deeper. So yeah, check this one out, Winter in Sokcho. I want to recommend The Witcher, The Last Wish. This is a collection of short stories. The Witcher is actually a series. It has multiple different books. This is the very first one. If you read this, you don't need to read the entire series. You can just read one of them. It is just a collection of short stories. This fantasy novel is filled with action, adventure, mythical creatures. It is such a amazing escape from the winter chill. So this collection of short stories introduces Geralt of Rivia, who is a professional monster hunter, also known as a witcher, set in a very richly detailed fantasy universe. The book is a collection of interlinked stories that blend traditional Slavic mythology with classic fantasy elements. Geralt is a character of deep moral ambiguity, and he's just trying to navigate a world filled with diverse creatures, political intrigue, and just countless moral dilemmas. I love the narrative's mature themes, including questions of ethics and the nature of evil. And it's just so much more than a simple tale of good versus evil. I love like the moral gray area that it presents. I feel like for readers with multiple passions, multiple interests, The Witcher offers a multi-layered narrative that has action, folklore, moral complexity, romance, fantasy, the book's exploration of philosophical and ethical questions set against a backdrop of a kind of like fantasy-based medieval landscape. It's such an engaging read, especially in winter. And I feel like just the general vibe of the book is very cold and dark. Like it has a very grim and mysterious tone to it. The themes of isolation and introspection in Geralt's journey resonate really well with the introspective nature of winter, making The Witcher a wonderful choice to read in the winter months. This book is a classic, and I feel like for me it's the most obvious winter recommendation because, I mean, it's called Snow Country. This book takes readers to a hot springs resort in the rural, snow-covered landscape of the Japanese mountains. And it tells the story of love and longing. Its serene and poetic nature aligns well with the quiet of winter. So the story revolves around the intense but ill-fated romance of Shimomura, a wealthy man from Tokyo, and Komako, a young dedicated geisha who lives in the snow country. The writing style of this book is not going to be for everyone. The author tries hard to emphasize emotion and atmosphere over plot, okay? Each sentence and scene is crafted with such delicate precision, and yeah, I just like that it captures the beauty and appreciation for simple moments in a manner that for me is similar to haiku. So yeah, Snow Country, very good winter read, winter vibes all around, nice, poetic, serene narrative to it. I suggest you give it a try. Girl with a Pearl Earring is a historical fiction novel set in the 17th century, and it explores art, beauty, and unspoken emotions. The story revolves around a young girl named Griet, I hope I'm saying that right, I'm so sorry, who becomes a maid in the household of the famous painter Vermeer. Johannes, it's Vermeer, in the city of Delft in the Netherlands. I'm very sorry if my pronunciation on all of that was wrong. I apologize. So the story attempts to explore how Vermeer's paintings came to life and how this girl, Griet, becomes the inspiration for one of his most famous works of art, the painting that gives the novel its title. Again, this is historical fiction, so it's simply the author's rendering of the situation. I think this book is really great at exploring human relationships, class, and the role of women in the 17th century Dutch society. I really like the way that the author writes. I feel that her descriptive writing makes the novel a fitting read for the reflective mood of winter. Now, I've never been to the Netherlands, but I don't know, something about it feels naturally cold and dark. So in my mind, this novel's backdrop is a nice, cold, dark winter. For those multi-passionate, this book is great because it offers a glimpse into the artistic process and then also some of the societal constraints of the era. The way the author describes the colors, textures, and the light in Vermeer's studio is just really appealing to me. And it's a book that celebrates the beauty of art and the subtleties of human connection. So, yep, great winter read. Try it out. I put these together because I always read them back to back. And it's the same author. Even though they are both standalone, they're great on their own. For me, it's really hard to read a Yoshimoto book and not immediately crave another. I really love this author. So these stories combine elements of everyday life with deeper emotional themes. They explore love, loss. There's really nice personal and touching narratives. And yeah, there's some winter scenes in there briefly. So first, I'll talk about Kitchen. The story revolves around Mikage Sakurai, a young woman who finds herself alone in the world after the death of her grandmother who raised her. Grieving and adrift, she is taken in by a young man and his transgender mother, who runs a small, cozy bar. The kitchen itself becomes a central theme of this book. It symbolizes comfort, warmth, and the nurturing nature of food and cooking. I personally do not like cooking, but I love food. So I can relate with the sense of using food as a way to connect with others, especially when we're all struggling through these cold winter months. I love that the novel also has a scene at an inn with the snow falling down and the main character gripping a can of hot coffee. I've been to Japan in the winter a couple times, and seriously, that's when you're waiting out on the train platform, there's those vending machines and they have the option for a hot coffee, just grabbing a nice hot can of coffee, holding it while snow is falling around you. Oh, what a winter vibe. I love it. I love it. And then next is Asleep. So Asleep is a collection of 3 novellas. And again, they have some themes of love and loss, but I like that this one kind of explores the boundary between the waking life and the dream worlds. So the stories themselves focus on the lives of young women. They find themselves in a state of lethargy or sleep, either literally or metaphorically, or just like that weird boundary between like what is real, what is not, the dream world, the real world. You know what I'm talking about. As they cope with the complexities of their lives and their relationships. I like to read this book in the winter because I always get the feeling of being tired, lethargic, sleepy during the long, dark, cold winter months. And the dreamlike quality of these stories goes so well with the quiet and reflective mood of winter. And they just make me want to sleep. It romanticizes sleep, and I love that. I love that. Yeah, these two books are just really, really interesting to me. I love Yoshimoto's writing. I love her stories. I love how they combine emotional depth with a unique cultural perspective. And I love to read them in the wintertime due to the way that they match the mood of winter. So yeah, check these out. Alright, the next book that I want to recommend is The Shining by Stephen King. Horror books do not have to be reserved just for Halloween. In fact, I'd argue that winter is actually better because it's cold and dark and eerily quiet as the snow falls down outside. There's no telling what could be lurking in the shadows. The book takes place in an empty hotel covered in snow, telling a gripping tale of isolation and supernatural horror. The story is centered around Jack Torrance, a struggling writer and recovering alcoholic who accepts a position as the off-season caretaker of the Overlook Hotel, a large, in the middle of nowhere hotel in the Colorado Rockies. He moves there with his wife Wendy and their young son Danny. The Overlook Hotel is almost like a character itself in the novel, with its eerie history and malevolent presence. And as winter sets in, the family is snowed in, and the hotel's influence begins to take a sinister toll on the family. The Shining is really great because not just for its horror elements, but also for its reach into deeper psychological themes. It's a story about the disintegration of a family, the impact of isolation on the human mind, and the struggle between supernatural forces and personal demons. So yeah, check out The Shining. For me personally, this book is very scary. I get really scared when I read this. I love it though, it's fun. The next novel that I want to recommend is The Samurai's Garden. This is such a beautifully written novel with themes of love, healing, and the strength of the human spirit. Set in the late 1930s in Japan, the story follows a young Chinese man named Stephen, who is sent to his family's summer home in a small Japanese coastal village to recover from his tuberculosis. Here he meets Matsu, the home's caretaker, and a master gardener who tends to both the garden and Stephen's needs. Now, the book actually chronicles through 4 seasons, winter being just one of them. But I feel that the story as a whole, with its peaceful and reflective nature, does well to complement a winter reading mood. Throughout the story, there's the garden, with its beauty and seasonal transformations. It becomes a metaphor throughout the story for healing and growth. In the story, Stephen also encounters other local residents, each with their own stories of love, sorrow, and resilience. This novel offers a really unique cultural perspective that I really love, and I feel like its theme of resilience and the power of love and caring and the importance of growth is just the inspiration you might need to get you through some hard times, or even just get to the end of this season. The next book that I want to recommend is Silver Linings Playbook. So this contemporary novel offers a mix of humor, romance, and insightful look at mental health, which is very important in winter seasons. It's just a really nice, heartwarming read for the cold winter months. The novel is set against the backdrop of Pat's rocky relationship with his family, and then his interactions with Tiffany, a young widow with her own set of problems. As Pat and Tiffany's past intertwine, the story dives deep into themes of redemption, the power of relationship, and the journey towards emotional healing and understanding. And I feel like their connection evolves in really unexpected ways, leading to both comedic and heartfelt moments. This author's writing is notable for the way he's able to explore emotional depth and to portray mental health issues in a really nice, realistic way. The characters are deeply flawed, yet incredibly relatable, and I just feel like their struggles are portrayed with both empathy and authenticity. The story's mix of both humor and heartache, along with its insightful look into the journey of self-discovery and recovery, make it a really great read, especially for those who appreciate the transformative power of human connections. You know, winter is our time for reflection. This goes so well with the themes of the book of personal growth and emotional healing. As the characters handle their struggles and work towards making better versions of themselves, I think readers too can find inspiration to reflect on their own lives and seek positive changes. So yeah, read Silver Linings Playbook. we have come to the Vampire Lestat. This is the last book on my recommendation list. Although honestly, it's really one of my favorite books. I'm just shy to say. I love Anne Rice. I love the Vampire Chronicles. I love this book. I even got like a nice ugly cover. I absolutely love it. I bought this in Japan. I bought this at an English bookstore in Tokyo. This novel goes hard into the fictional lore and psychology of vampires. And it is just such a great novel with dark and gothic themes. The way that it has history, philosophy, supernatural storytelling. So the book starts with a kind of prologue that has Lestat waking up in the 1980s. Him like trying to become a rock star. I mean, once you get to the part where it goes back to his young adulthood before he became a vampire, it's impossible to put the book down. It's so good. So imagine this. A family living in the French countryside in an old castle. The winters are long and cold. The local village is being terrorized by a pack of wolves living in the surrounding forest. And our young protagonist, with the blonde ponytail and the icy blue eyes, sets off into the snowy forest to take on the wolves by himself. It's so great. It's got the landscape, the descriptions, everything that fits really well with winter. And there's also scenes with him and his closest friend renting a room in a local inn, drinking wine and talking about philosophy throughout the long winter night. It's absolutely perfect. Throughout the book, the life of the vampire Lestat is outlined, but I feel like it's more than a vampire tale. Like I said, it's a journey into history, philosophy, the eternal question of good versus evil. And what better time is it to consider all that than the dead of winter? Alright, you might be wondering though why I'm not suggesting the first book in the series, which is Interview with the Vampire. Now, I have read that book. It just personally wasn't my cup of tea. I find myself gravitating more towards the Vampire Lestat, which is the second book in the series. I think personally you could read the second one without reading the first one. But if you want to get like the full take on it, yeah, sure, read that one first and then read this one. This one is particularly the winter read though. So which of these winter reads will you be picking up? Or do you have another book in mind that you suggest someone reads in winter or someone, a multi-passionate, would really enjoy? Let me know in the comments. And here's to a winter filled with great books and news discoveries.